All right.
Mr. Nguyen?
Hi. Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. And it was already mentioned in the introduction, this is about, the big non-endemic brands, all the weird adult brands that are looking into esports, and they are now trying to invest money. And this presentation is really about, how to actually get them on board. And not only get them on board, but actually how to keep them on board. So I'm gonna really focus on the how. So at one or another point, this may sound a little bit like a little lecture, like as used to said, but I'm trying to make it as fun as possible. And also I'm trying, to give you like really practical advice and styles, that you can implement into a day-to-day work. Just a little bit about the company. Jungformat is a huge agency based in Germany. We are spread all around the world, and we are fairly successful. We were just the #1 agency last year in Cannes. We actually dominate all kind of rankings and get many prizes, so this is working out quite well for us. And just to give you an idea how important creativity is for us, well, our ranking is basically, if you combine all the points of our competitors, we're it's still a little gap. So it's okay company. We're doing okay, yeah. The thing is, I'm a partner at the sports division, so we are also an own company, and we are by now, I don't know, around 100 people. We were founded 5 years ago, and again, this is also quite okay. So, yeah, we are satisfied, more or less. The thing is, and this is one of the maybe most important thing to understand, is whatever we do is about creative excellence in sports. And this may sound really like obvious to you now, but if you look back 5 years back, back then sports marketing was just about putting your logo everywhere, putting your logo on your shirt, putting your logo on the banners, putting your logo in your stadium, selling naming rights and stuff like that. And back then nobody really cared about, actually telling stories and finding ways, to customize campaigns for brands. And that was basically the foundation of this company. And this is important to understand, that creativity is really important to us, is something that will be back in the presentation throughout the game. This is how we do. We do analysis, and then based on the analysis, we do some kind of strategies. We buy rights and assets, so yes, we do broker deals. And the fourth part is this, I'm gonna focus on this, is the activation part, is how we do based on that, and then we evaluate, and look into KPIs, write reporting, stuff like that, the boring shit, but it's important. Just a quick glance at our client portfolio, so you can see there are some, like, our right clients work for a number of institutions, associations like the FIFA. We have some brands from the sponsoring side. We even have some individuals. And I always say, for some people, this would be something like a hobby, right? And a passion, and for us it's work. So we are very, very graceful for that. But the cool thing is, I like this, but this I like even better. Because I'm going to admit it, I just joined the esports game, let's say 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, earliest, yeah? So, and I'm really, really passionate about this esports thing. And as you can see, we have somehow managed to convince a lot of, let's say, cool global clients, to join our journey in exploring esports. And today's presentation is really about, how we did it. Also, and I'm gonna feel really, really bad now showing this slide, because Min just presented earlier, because it's not really humble, but meaning that I'm really invested into esports is like I'm really invested into esports. I'm really like on a missionary mission, yeah, trying to convey the message of esports, to show people that esports is a real thing, to talk to CEOs, to the press and stuff like that. So this is not just just work, but it's part of a bigger mission. So and also this is something that includes a lot of press and communications and saying that. So obviously communication works quite well. Doesn't mean that I'm not a shit product, but you can decide by yourself by the end of the presentation. So this is a key element. So what makes Jungformat or Jungformat Sports special is that we actually know how to activate and capitalize rights and assets. This is an important thing to understand, because most people have an idea about esports and they understand this might be the future, right? But somehow they don't manage to sell it. And I'm going to explain why. So first thing is, how do we do it? And basically, we have, let's say, a 4C approach. It's more of a 4C thinking, so it's not like we do C1, C2, C3, but every C is basically embodied in our overall thinking. And I'm going to start with the first C first, and it's context. So we have context, community, and context is very important. It's what brands need. So as you can see, we consult lots of brands, and they all keep telling me the same, and I always see the same. You know, they get hundreds and hundreds of PDFs and sales deck day by day. You can sponsor this team, you can sponsor that team, you know. We have so many reach, we have so many fans on Facebook, we have so many Twitter fans, you know. We get all these decks all the time. And the fun thing about this is that they always focus on themselves, you know. We are team XY, we are team BZY, you know. This is our sales deck, we have those plays, we have played these genres. They always focus on themselves. They never take the perspective of the brand. So the context of the brand, what the brand actually needs, is never included in those sales deck. And what do I mean with context? I mean, what is the competitive environment? Who are the competitors? Who are the market shares? You know, what is the actual fucking problem, you know? I mean, it's fun, you know, to sell a vision in the future and tell them you should go and jump into esports, but does it solve a problem? Yes or no? And which kind of problem? So the fun thing is that those, let's say, team managers or commercial managers, no, they don't do the effort, you know, to actually look into the competitive environment to understand what is the problem. So context is something that that is highly lacking currently into esports marketing and sales, right? Because everyone is selling the same decks. And trust me, if you look into 5 sales decks and you just see million numbers here, million numbers there, at some point, you know, you can't differentiate anymore. So it actually just boils down to the colors of the teams. So this is a very important thing to understand. It's the context. What does the brand need? So to give you an idea, McDonald's, right? So you can imagine McDonald's gets lots of decks, and we get all the decks we look into and we evaluate them. So the thing about McDonald's is, come on, they don't have an awareness problem, right? Everyone knows McDonald's. They have some sort of recognition. So we really looked into their problem and to understand what is the thing. And the thing is, they had a very big problem, is that among teens and twins, there was one phenomena, is that if McDonald's was a person, it was a corporate suit. Like, you know, a very business-oriented guy. It was like a guy who was just about profits, money making, high of efficiency. So these kind of things, right? For some reason, teens were, okay, McDonald's is a good brand, it's a decent brand, it's a well-running company, but you know, we don't feel the vibe. We don't feel the vibe. It's just too efficiency-driven. So this was the thing people said was a fast, standardized money-making machine. And this was one of the biggest problems of McDonald's, you know, to understand what the needs and truths of the tweens and twins were. Twins are, you know, 20s. And this was, you know, let's say, the starting point. And then we looked into the target group, and then we saw, I mean, everyone who's on Instagram knows how they are. You know, it's about inspiration, it's about self-portrayal, and it's our community. And by the end of the day, you know, we termed it was about, you know, that crew feeling, you know, belonging to a crew, showing your swag and stuff like that. So these are the things that, you know, we try to combine in turning McDonald's into a different position. And this is a model that we often use, not always, you know, but it helps you to guide and to put some context into the stuff. And it always starts with a challenge. It doesn't start with a sales deck, right? It starts with a challenge, you know. In that case, you know, the objective was to re-engage with the young target group, emotionally inspire them for the brand. The goal is easy, you know, drive more guests into the restaurant. And based on that, we had 4 big questions. Which values do we want to embody? You know, what is the spirit? If we have a spirit, what is the spirit? What's the swag? What are the target groups? Which themes and formats do we need, you know, to convey the right content? And based on that, what kind of assets do we need to buy or acquire or to sign, you know, to make this happen? So this is the point of view, our POV analysis. And I'm going to rephrase some stuff because it's confidential, but this is always the basis, you know, the perspective of the brand, the context of the brand. And for McDonald's, you know, based on the learning that we were a corporate machine in a gray suit, we wanted to have a spirit based on freedom, independence, and yes, a little bit of rebel style. So these are the things. So I'm going to say one thing first. It's just not only esports that we propose to them. There's going to be 2 more sports. Maybe you can guess them, right? But it's about rebel style. Things that maybe adults might find irritating and not so cool. And these are the things that, we put into context: pop culture themes, gaming, hip-hop, baggy pants, sneakers, hoodie type of things, just, to have some sort of context. And this is interesting, Always start with the context, make the effort, to analyze the brand, analyze the competitive environment, and find their problem. Of course, you also need to find something that the community likes, right? Because as we heard all day, the esports community can be very sensitive. You can be hero, but you can be zero very fast. So understanding how to actually convince them is very important. And this is going to be really easy right now. I'm going to show you some creative stuff afterwards, which will, put them into life. But there are 3 pillars that we always work with. One is show genuine appreciation. This is very important. It's kind of, obvious, but it's still one of the strongest suits you can have, because if you look at the esports community, it's not like they go into a bar and tell a nice girl, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm into esports and I'm gaming, and the girl's like, ooh, wow, They still have some sort of stigmata and cliche at one point, or at least in their own perception. So just showing them, we respect what you do, we respect what you like, does already help a lot. And you will see throughout some cases later on how that works. Another thing is embrace, there's no English word for that, but Überschusswissen is a German word, which basically means over-exceeding knowledge that nobody needs to know, but that can be helpful. LOL, Ruffle, AFK, Rage Quit, those kind of words, If you want to do a campaign for esports and gaming, you need to get your dictionary right, you need to understand the cultures, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on Reddit, Those are the things that a brand needs to know. So embrace Überschusswissen. The third thing is, because as I said, back then sponsoring was just about putting logos everywhere. This is not enough, you have to, if you sponsor something, you have to provide some sort of exclusivity, or in German we say Verbesonderung, which means having something and make it a little bit more special, like a special product, a customized product, special discount codes, or a special journey, As a sponsor, it's not only about, taking, but it's also about giving. You have to earn your spot. So it's not about just like, oh, there's so much reach on ESL, all right, I'm go there and I put my brand as some, but you have to think about what do you give to the community. So these are the 3 pillars that we use in when we think about campaigning activation. Next thing, really important, everyone keeps forgetting that, continuity. What do I mean with continuity? All the things I see is, we are team XY, right? You could sponsor us and then you get the big bang. And then everyone will love you because you went into the esports sphere and everything is fine, right? But nobody's thinking long-term within the big picture. It's like if you were to release one episode of Game of Thrones, the first one really nice, really cool, and then afterwards it's shit. Nobody would work that way. You have to think with a long-term perspective. What do I mean with a long-term perspective? If you look at dramas and series, TV shows, it's not like a big bang, right? And then it goes down, but it has a movement like this, And especially within esports and non-endemic brands, when they still are not sure how to spend money, you have to go for a curve that is like this, right? You have to tell them, where do we stand in 2 years from now, after we iterate, learned, and experienced marketing and learned the community. And this is how it works, because most of the brands I work for, they have like big pockets, right? And they already have some sort of sponsorships. Some sponsorships have been very big and successful or not successful for the last years, like football, for instance, right? And you have to tell them how esports blends into that environment. For McDonald's, for instance, was like this. We knew we had football as an asset, but we already also knew that we won't go for it like for eternity. So you have to see when do you slow it down, and how, to put esports in space with a time period in mind. And this is important to understand, that you have to think in the big picture, long term, and sometimes you can go for a big bang, sure, but you have to keep that line going. And this is something, a line that works very good for us, because we can try try new things, but at the same time, we are trying to tell the client, this is not the end of it, it's the beginning, and we are beginning to learn. And this is also the part, from my title, how to make them crave more. All right? So can you guess what the last thing is? I gave you a hint in the beginning. Creativity. Yes, creativity. So, of course, you have, you have all those components, understanding the brand, taking the perspective of the brand, taking the perspective of the community, thinking long-term in the big plan, and you have to mix that, with creativity, with the thing that makes an impact, that makes a change. And I'm going to show you some stuff and cases right now. This is very confidential, but it's okay because Berger and me, we are friends, and he asked me to do so. But I mean, everyone probably knows that when Roman said, I don't know why all the automotive brands are entering the game right now, I could tell him, because we signed the first global sponsorships 2 years ago, which was, the biggest deal of its kind at that time. But I think you know this, and in case you don't, I'm going to show again.
As you get older, life becomes all about following a few simple rules. Dress proper. Get a real job. Spend time with family. Dance to the beat of your own drum. Work hard. Get married. Move to the suburbs. Start a family. Be humble. Time to grow up.
I think some people know that one, it's a Mercedes-Benz introduction to esports. The basic idea is everyone is following their part, the rules of being an adult have been rewritten, go your own way, we support you, we try to understand you, but we respect that. So this is a thing, and I get lots of good feedback on that. Today I'm going to show you the strategy behind it, because there was much more to it, right? So let's take a step back. ESL, Mercedes-Benz, we initiated that partnership, and I'm going to show you the general strategy on that. And as I said already, context is very important to understand. And sometimes what we do, and it really helps, non-academics understand better what they need to do, is to write a narrative. To write a narrative like, okay, you are like a protagonist right now in the esports sphere, and you need to have some sort of role. Right? It's like a role play, you need a sort of role, so this is what we're gonna do right now. And in that case, we had that big POV, like from McDonald's, we empower the new stars to shine brighter, new stars, because Mercedes has the star, so, and they were always about stars, so we did something with stars. And we wrote something like a manifesto. We see ourselves as an organic part of esports. We are the first fan among fans supporting the scene and getting the approval it rightly deserves. We celebrate and empower esports, its protagonists, instead of being just another money provider in a space. So instead of just being there, we want to add value to the scene by giving everyone new experiences within the known space of esports and introducing or highlighting formerly less known elements to the space. And we will be doing this in a mainstream breaking way, okay? So basically, what we try to do is we looked into what is in the what can we find within the esports world, and we take it and we give appreciation to it and we amplify it. And if you look at our ideas later on, you will see how it's done. So context, really important. So as I said already, some things we had to blur out, but put it into a strategy map or roadmap. Have a marketing objective, right? Portray, demonstrate knowledge, insights, and foremost respect to the community, empower great stories in a motivational and mainstreaming way. We had a clear POV, empower these new stars to shine brighter. We had some values, and we're doing this with team players, characters, and stuff like that. This already helps a lot when talking to non-academics. What helps then also is this, a checkbook, okay? Because sometimes we have that situation that we talk to non-endemics and, okay, we really want to do esports. This is really cool. We are hooked up. We are motivated. And then what do we do? And what can we do? And what can we not do? And this is a guideline that helps them and us, to navigate through the space. So every single Mercedes-Benz idea, that we implement and execute has to go through this checklist and has at least to check 3 boxes, If it doesn't, it's a shit idea, or maybe it's a good idea, but it's not on strategy. It's not on our narrative, it's not our POV, so it doesn't qualify. It's very easy because by the end of the day, you're doing something for their own brand, for the non-endemic brand. So these are some questions. Does it increase some level of stardom? Does it unshadow something in an insightful way? Does it improve or redefine the image of esports? Does it help esports break into the mainstream more? Does it generate visibility for someone maybe who was less known in the space before? Those are the questions that we have, and all the ideas have to go through that filter, and it helps. And then by the end of the day, we had that rise on, as a thing. So if we look at the work, you will see everything is kind of in place. We started with a teaser. Nothing special, it was just to have some. This like 3 months before the official partnerships, and everyone was like, oh, they must be kidding, right? Mercedes, esports, no, it's not real, stuff like that. That was to generate curiosity. And now the real work begins. First thing that we did was, back then before all team CEOs hated us for that, but we thought, let's show appreciation. Let's show full appreciation. We get every team a own car with our own team branding, Just, because they never had something like this before. Because before that, esports was niche, and kind of weird, Mercedes-Benz is not just entering the space, but providing cars. You can have them, with team branding, and of course all the stars, all the players posted it online, and we had lots of earned media of that. And then we thought about, remember the questions that we had, redefining stuff, putting into new light. We put the cast because they had to sit somewhere else for some reasons of the stadium, and then we built them a truck where the analysts and the cast could sit. I wouldn't say it was a very great idea because they had to sit outside, but it was something new. We just did it once, okay? I'm gonna be very honest with you right now, showing you the ideas. And a third thing was, to find ways, to show this is about stardom. I'm still surprised we could do it. We changed the logo for some reason, and they allowed us, or they didn't prevent us to do so. It's still one of the biggest earth wonders I've ever encountered in my life. I changed the Mercedes-Benz logo, but it was okay. And, and then it comes here. We put cars everywhere, and this is actually the best idea. I wanted to show you this. This is a Mercedes-Benz MVP. Does anyone know what this is? Okay, the idea is simple, right? We thought, okay, we're gonna create a new MVP, most valuable player. So it gets 50% voted by the community, 50% by experts, right? And the winner gets a car. Everyone would argue, now come on, they have so much money. Why? They don't need you to get them a car, right? But it's not about the car. From a monetary perspective, it's about the car as a symbol of being the best. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing, the claim, right? Of being the best. It's the emotional value, something that they crave for. And this works so well. We do it all the time, continuity, right? It's just a one single standoff thing, but we've been doing this now for at least 18 months, right? They get a car at ESL Dota 1 events, and I saw some guys from ESL here, so I'm not going to say it too out loud, right? But sometimes it's more about who's becoming the MVP than actually which teams is going to win the tournament, So this created a lot of hype, very interesting. And we built our own trophy for it. It was lots of work, The cosplay winner is always the person, to bring the car. There are PR materials, stuff like that. Very nice thing, and again, it's something that has become an own asset, an own IP. And as I said already, teams are now, really jumping onto it and doing their own communication. This is another film. I don't know whether you noticed. I'm just going to show it to you, which also shows, our strategy.
Remember where it started. Your first experiences. Remember where you came from. The journey you traveled. The journey you love. Remember where it started. And imagine where it will go. Rise on.
And we took that topic further, and sometimes you have to do like on-the-ground activations, and we built an on-the-ground activation area, and basically the idea is, when you start left, you have like old school arcade gaming stations, and you move to the right, and then you go into VR and stuff like that, to actually emphasize the story, remember where it started, imagine where it will go. Vodafone and Mouse Sports, also one partnership that we initiated and brokered. I'm just going to show you some quick stuff. It's about, seeing different perspectives today, right? This is a team. And of course, we also did like films and videos and documentations on that. And this is also really nice. But I'm going to show you something completely different, which shows how important continuity is. One thing is, which we call perfect minute advertising, we've been doing this for over 2 years now, is that Vodafone always gives a congratulation posting on Mouse Sports channels, we won this, we won that, we lost, okay, it's too bad, but this was, a thing that has become some sort of ritual, and people at least don't hate it, okay? Again, we showed Vodafone, we're not just going to do like 5 postings or 10 postings, but it's actually a thing that will go and run for at least 1 year now. We are over 2 years, and the creative part is, always, to have like funny words, liquefied, hasta la vista for Astralis, stuff like that. Interesting is also, that Vodafone uses those things also on their own channels, which is still something that not every brand does, right? Including them into their own channels. And for some reason, and I really don't understand why, this is one of the most successful activations throughout the entire marketing campaigns, not only esports-wise, but everything. We invented the esports word of the week, which is basically just a dictionary, explaining just random esports words, like AFK, GG, and people really like it, and they tag their friends below the comments, AFK, that's always how you play with me, noob, that's you, ha 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 ha, and somehow they just tag the people below the post, and this has been also running for 2 years now, and is also really important. Another thing, I don't know, do you know this example? Some do, some don't. Okay, cool. Intersport, German sports retailer. And again, understanding the perspective of the brand. They wanted to do something with esports, but they had like many challenges. One challenge was like they are into football and running and trail, and snowboarding and stuff like that. And it was like, how can we combine both worlds? Because we are rooted in traditional sports, that's our core DNA. But also we are interested into that esports thing, then we need a concept, that kind of balances it. And we were like, okay, we can look into traditional traditional sports, but it would be kind of lame, to have our esports athletes playing basketball or golf or stuff like that, right? So we looked into traditional sports and we found something that is more or less, iconic to sports is boxes, shoe boxes. Everyone who buys sports equipment gets a shoe box, right? And we came up with that idea, which we called the biggest unboxing video of all time, and it's this. I hope it works. Yes. It's a second video of 2. Okay, this might seem very random to you right now. So again, this was the second video. The first video was, all the big boxes driving on trucks to one specific location, and they all included some kind of people. And the last box was the new LEC roster. And this is why context is important to understand. We didn't have lots of media budget, but we knew SK Gaming was returning back to LEC, and for the first time in 5 years, they would announce a roster, their new players. Who did they sign? So we knew there was inherent natural buzz on that because everyone was looking at the new teams at LEC, which, Roman just presented, and everyone wanted to know who the player were. So we just, jumped on the player announcement thing, and instead of just posting a post, we put the effort of making big videos and getting a helicopter. But people clicked it, and Reddit liked it. So these are the things. Again, context, understanding the perspective of the brand. Snipes, they like gaming, they like esports, but they were like, we are still street retailer, we're still street culture, and we need to find a way to blend everything in. And so we came up with an idea that was kind of pop culture, kind of hip hop, kind of gaming, and I'm gonna just go very quickly.
When they say life is a game, they forget to tell you about the rules. Growing up in the streets of Cologne, the Django decided to build one of the greatest esports teams the world had ever seen, going by 5 rules. Number 1, find investors and strong partners. Number 2, find the right talent. Number 3, put all your effort into your goals. Outgrow your talent, be the very best. Number 4, never fear your rivals. You will become undefeated and legendary. But the most important is number 5. Keep it real. Never forget who you are and where you come from. You will find the money, you will find the fame. That don't matter. All that matters is the love, the respect, and the legacy that you leave behind. These are the rules of the game. These are the rules of mouse sports.
Fun thing about this one, the guy who was talking was Rick Ross. So maybe you know them, and the beats were provided by DJ Premier. And so we tried, to merge both cultures, hip hop, swag, streetwear, and esports and gaming. Based on that, we also provided our own signature collection. This is what I'm saying with, you have to provide exclusivity, Verbesonderung. It's not just enough, to be like a new sponsor, but you have to actually think in products, and that was a good way to combine those things. Last case, Pringles and ESL. One thing I'm going to tell you up front is today is going to be a premiere. Please leave your smartphones in your pockets. I'm going to show you 3 new things, but first let me get you into the stuff. So Pringles, ESL. Pringles is a very well-known brand. They wanted to do esports, but in many cases they didn't want to spend too much money on it. It was more like learning, trying, exploring, stuff like that. And we were like really faced with that little amount of budget that they had. We liked the brand, we wanted to have that story, Jungformat and Pringles, great fit, but we really had almost no money. I can say it because it's true. So we thought about, okay, what can we do that is interesting, and this is where creativity, the pyramid, the top thing, really helped us. And the first idea, and I'm still surprised that it worked so well back then, was a little bit like the Mercedes-Benz cars, right? We gave every single player an individual Pringles can with its own name on it and their team logos, and we put them into the hotel rooms as a welcome package. So it was not so much money involved. Thing back then, 2 years ago, was that they never got their own Pringles can in their life. So this was like, even football players don't have their own Pringles cans, right? So that was something very special, and they kept posting those cans on social media. Hey fans, hey guys, look at this, how funny is that, right? And we got some kind of earned media on that, and it was just the can, right, that we did. And that was the first test, and we kind of felt that, okay, at least, it seems like people don't hate us. Right? So Pringles can be part of the game. And then we started exploring further, and then we were like, okay, don't do too much. Let's just be at events, right, and provide them a space, to chill, to hang. Let them play, let them have free food, nothing too fancy, yeah, but just trying to understand how the community is like and doing stuff that we know that works well. And then we were like, okay, we have that Pringles guy, right? And we can use that costume. We need, to get a guy and pay him 500 euros a day. We still have a small budget. Let's do guerrilla marketing. And we let him just, photo bump all the things. Even it's not here, a cosplay contest. And we just let them around and, walking around and just see how he did. And that was also okay too. And again, learning is important. We first started with individual player cans, and then we had a fan edition, and we made lots of editions based on that, which was good to do so. And we've been doing this for a year now, and Pringles seems to be a very, very sympathetic brand within the esports scene. And now we're going the next step. And I'm really not sure if how you feel about it. Again, not so much money. Not really inclined to acquire lots of assets, so we needed something that works everywhere. Minimalistic, I put it up for minimalistic design, yeah, that we needed to do, and something that could run for many years based on continuity. Okay, so we were thinking about about one thing, and this was the insight. We always, when we look at brands, we try to find out what's special about them. And we try to think about the brands within the context of gaming, and we compared Pringles with regular chips. And then one guy had the idea, actually Pringles is perfect for gaming, right? Because you have no greasy hands, for the keyboards, it doesn't really crumple. You can easily put them into your a backpack. And then we had the idea, kind of reminds of, I don't know how old you are, right? But back then, 10 years ago, there was a thing running called Mac versus PC. There was the Mac guy and the PC guy. Hi, I'm Mac, I am PC, and they were comparing each other based on just things. Does anyone know that from back then? Okay, some do, right? And we were like, hey, maybe we just do the same. Hi, I'm Pringles. Hi, I'm Chips. And this is what turned out.
Hi, I'm Pringles. I'm Chips. Wait, are we doing this Mac versus PC thing?
Guess so.
Then I am the Mac of the chips.
Cool. Then I'm the PC. Perfect for gaming. Easy to eat, no greasy hands.
Wait, I'm into gaming too.
You mean like into the keyboard crumbled?
No.
Or into the TeamSpeak rustling?
No, I'm into that noob, frag, LOL thing.
Well then, GG, my friend.
This is just the first one, we had to do let's say, we had to somehow include Mac versus PC. The next one are gonna be much better.
Hi, I'm Pringles.
And I'm Chips.
Wanna play?
Wanna lose?
Controllers. That round goes to me, I guess.
Yeah, okay, mister, I'm so funny today, but I've got this greasiness,
No, I don't know. Pringles doesn't give you greasy hands. Ready now?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't.
that's 2-0 for me, I guess.
Third one.
Hi, I'm Pringles.
And I'm Chips.
Wow, Chips. Sick outfit. I didn't know you were a cosplayer.
It's more of a protection thing. Pringles might come in cans. I now come in maximum leveled armor. Hit me.
Nah, I don't think it's a good idea.
Come on, hit me.
Okay. Come on. Whoa! I guess Chips has left the game then.
I can see from your faces some people hate it, some kind of like it. We're trying out, we're trying out. I really hope this works well, because once you establish a format like this, you can do endless stories based on that. And this is an interesting thing. So learning is a very important thing, because we released some, test materials already online. Seems, I'm not going to tell which what, but some genres seem to like them, and some seem to hate them. So League of Legends and Dota people are not the same, right? And CS people also not. So some people like them, some people love them, and we're gonna, see what works well, and then, target them specifically to that. But this, just an example, what you can do if you try to understand the context and put on some creativity. Fun thing, my battery is low, but I think I'm also finished with my presentation.
Well, once again, thank you for the presentation. And if there are any questions for Mr. Nguyen, now is the moment to ask them. Over here.
Many hands.
Hello? Yep.
Oh, there we go.
I'm going to be super annoying and not give you a question, but instead a comment. That first Mercedes spot, when I saw that, I was like, holy fuck, someone fucking gets esports. Congratulations, that was like literally the best spot that's been done in esports history. And you did it with a brand like Mercedes, it's like mind-boggling. Fantastic work.
Thank you. Highly appreciate it.
I saw someone in the back. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I think we saw some definitely great examples. So I'm wondering, what do you think is the worst example of a company or a campaign in esports which totally didn't get it? Or is there some example that you could describe what went wrong without mentioning the exact example in case?
Well, the list is endless.
But
of
what
shit
is the
stuff.
worst?
The list is
According
endless.
to you?
Okay, one thing that I really try to keep it low on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm not gonna diss other companies and agencies in public, but sometimes I just have to. One thing that can be found online is there was Aldi, the supermarket retailer, who did a campaign which were basically based on the fact that people should sit together, have dinner together, right? And they used, it's a little bit like Bounty Hunter. They used the strategy that their kids who are spending too much time online playing video games, and you could recruit a killing squad, a pro squad, going and kill them, so your kids be at dinner on time. So this was something that I found was didn't really help at all. Apart from that, I hate everything. I hate everything that is based on the same structure, which is, hello, we are brand XY, and then just cut through many scenes of esports stadium atmosphere, people cheering, wearing jerseys, right? Going on the stage, having a thing in their hand, because it's all the same. It was okay 2 years ago, when you were one of the first brands entering esports, but all esports videos are becoming more or less the same. That's why we also went for Pringles like a minimalistic style, trying something different. And Intersport, things that are happening outside of the stadium. I hate those things because they are very, there's nothing you can learn from it. Right now, we are still in a phase where brands get, I always say, as a cool brand, if you enter esports right now, you get, let's say, a bonus welcome package by the fans, because you are, for some reason, appreciating what they like, what they do. So just announcing that you do esports is already something that, works well. But still, things will change because more brands will come in. It will get cluttered, the share of voice will go down. And if you just do a random esports video with just stadium scenes, and this is almost like a real sport, because fans come to the stadium, you will not fail, but at the same time you will learn nothing, And our goal as advisors of esports or non-endemic brands is, to optimize campaigns throughout the time, to find learnings, to try something new. And if I had to choose between a shit campaign, which was, too brave or too weird, and a normal, regular campaign with regular, normal scenes, I would say the second one is worse, because it doesn't really help the industry. That's my perspective.
Thank you for the question. Anything else? I have a question. What is the biggest threat when it comes for non-endemic brands saying, hey, I want to be in esports? What do you think is the biggest misconception of those brands?
I think when we started like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, educating brands on esports, the number one misconception was they are all violent and they're all gonna be, you know, like mass serial killers, especially when it comes to Counter-Strike. So we had to educate them on that, which took a lot of time. 1.5 years ago, one of my jobs was to write, we called it crisis management system packages. And it included a folder, you know, with a PR message, you know, different kind of scenarios in case someone dies randomly because there was a gun involved, right? How should we as a brand react to it? You know, brand safety standards. I wrote messages, statements for the CEO, the CMO, the public affairs speaker, and already had contacts with the press, you know, how to interact with them. Guess what? We never used them. Never, not a single time, not a single time. I wrote so many crisis management packages for so many brands, and I don't even know whether they know where the folders are, right? I don't think they could find them on the desktop. But that was definitely one thing that was a misconception back then. Nowadays, we have a new misconception, and we call it the problem of astro numbers. Yeah. I mean, by now, everyone has somehow, you know, picked up the idea of esports getting big and stuff like that, and there's Nielsen, there's Newzoo, and there are always numbers like with 3 billion something trillion, a million, yeah, so. And if you put esports onto Google Images, you know, you find pictures of the international, you know, of ESL1, you know, and what everyone does is they blend it together, you know, and even for FIFA, you know, and everyone who ever attended a FIFA event knows it's just you and me and maybe like 5 guys in a production team, that's all, right? But nevertheless, you know, they put it all into one package, telling them this is about million viewership, full stadiums, big sponsors, and as was already mentioned in the morning, esports is fragmented. I mean, there are many genres. And people who mix it up are basically risking, you know, or putting esports at a risk. Because one important thing when working with endemic brands and non-endemic brands especially is expectation management. And as soon as you do that, you know, you're fucking screwed.
All right, I think there are no other questions. Then I'd like to thank you for the presentation, Mr. Nguyen. And I think we will be getting ready for the roundtable discussion. I think there needs to be something to be set up still. So if you need a minute or 5, this is the moment to do so. So we'll be right back with the roundtable discussion.